You made it to the start of a new week. Congratulate yourself. You are not dead. you survive, and you will continue to survive. And this is just
you don't have leprosy.
You don't have leprosy. That's it. You see, you look for the silver lining. And right, Bakh'abantu.
Lord, what leprosy? Why are we talking about leprosy? Isn't that gone? Like, wasn't that Jesus era? Leigh-Ann, I know.
I was trying to think of something that nobody had today.
Let me tell you, there used to be leper colonies up to like 50, 60 years ago, apparently.
No, man. There was.
Yes.
When I was at the SABC, I was in the parking lot, and a beggar came up to me and said he wanted to shake my hand, so I shook his hand and greeted him. And he said, he handed me over a card that said, "I have leprosy. Can you please help me with funding?"
Holy shit. You still get it then. I mean, it's not completely cured. I think we tried. We were very close to eliminating polio at one point.
Yeah, until the anti-vaxxers came.
Yeah.
The actual anti-vaxxers. Yeah, like the polio's back.
Yeah.
The actual anti-vaxxers, because you have to separate.
Yeah.
Because leprosy always makes me think of like biblical disease. You know, it's like something that was there back in the biblical days, and it was like a curse from God. It was everything that went wrong with you. It didn't matter what happened or whether you were a good person or a bad person. All the things that we couldn't explain were curses. It was like God had taken a peculiar interest in you because you'd done something wicked or whatever. And then you were cursed, right?
Well, don't talk about that like it's in the past. I mean, we've got our very own coastline, which is blowing up in spring tides and washing everybody ashore.
Oh, wow.
We've got flooding on our continent in Libya. We've got earthquakes.
What is it, Leigh-Ann?
I mean, you know?
Say it, Leigh-Ann. Say what Bakh'abantu likes saying. Please say it.
The end is nigh.
Thank you.
Right.
And not the Afrikaans nigh, which is a good one.
Yo, nair.
Jeez.
That's
well,
a bad one.
I mean, so there were some very weird things that happened this weekend. Remember I spoke about, I think it was Friday morning, could have been Thursday. I'm pretty sure it was Friday though, that I'd seen these icons on the news on the weather report when we were comparing like a Greek weather lady to a German weather lady. And then I said that I'd seen on the news report that there were these waves that they were saying are going to be hitting the Southern Cape.
Yeah.
And I thought, please, man, it'll just mean, you know, some boats will be thrown around a little bit. Wow. Oh, wow. Let's just start off.
Wow.
Because this is, I mean, proper end is nice stuff. I was meant to be in Sun City on Friday night. I canceled because I just had so much. So Friday afternoon, I had to go and give a talk, make a speech, and that went very well. It was very cool. But I would have had to hop straight into a shuttle and go all the way to Sun City. You know what that road is like. I would have got there so late, it probably wouldn't have been worth it. And then come back the next morning to go to a wedding on Saturday. So it was too much. And I thought, let me do this properly rather than bugger it up. And while I'm not at Sun City, like there was a fire at the cabanas as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
It's crazy, man.
There's a whole lot of mad shit happening.
And I told you so.
Right.
I don't know what to say. I mean,
this is the wildest video of all. All right, so this couple is sitting there in a restaurant, and they're about to take like a selfie of themselves.
This is the Brass Bell where I used to frequent. I used to live across the road from it.
This is insane. I hadn't seen this video until this morning, and this just tells you how crazy it is, right? And it's almost like in the movie when you know the shark is coming to bite the people's legs, or you know, when the monster is like right behind the door, go through the door. Right, watch this. This is just unreal. So they're sitting there and just pulling. She's still finding and it just smashes through the window. My aunt sucks. Like, my aunt sucks. Anyway, I mean, what an incredible, frightening situation to find yourself in, right?
There were little bays in at the Brass Bell where I've got photographs of myself sitting in the windowsill. The glass from those is blasted out.
Right.
I mean, I would have been shot to the bar next door without having to crawl.
Well, I mean, I think I know why. We talk about wicked people and God punishing people. He seems to have focused on a caravan park in PE, which I totally understand. I mean, like when I think of caravan parks, I would also smote them with fire and pillars of sulfur and all that kind of shit. So here it is. Here's a caravan park in PE. I mean, there's two places I really don't like: PE and caravan parks, all in one. So here's not as if kind of some blue sea out there, just a little bit choppy. It's all white.
We lost some of your comments during the video. It was very windy.
It was, right? I mean, you can hardly hear anything in that clip.
And then there was also Gordon's Bay as well, where we, as a family, used to holiday every year. Just landmarks that you know and houses that you know, just being bashed to pieces.
Sheesh!
Oh my goodness.
Oh!
I mean, those waves, that's like what you see in those videos people made on that Boxing Day tsunami. And with the Fukushima tsunami, it's insane. I mean, I don't know what.
There was one crazy one as well, where there was a woman standing against like a driveway gate with the bars, the poles. I don't know how she didn't come out the other end like those sliced potatoes, those chip makers that you put through that you slam through blades, because there was a car that was tossing in the air next to her as well. Oof. Wow. Crazy. Springtime
stuff. Yeah. I mean, listen, I really didn't know it was so bad until I saw some of these videos, because, you kind of hear stories and you're like, oh, please, these people are overreacting, because people always do. It's like, we had so much rain, or, and you're like, please, so outside your front door, there's a bit of a puddle, but man, this is like hectic stuff. So obviously, I don't know if insurance companies have to pay up with these kinds of things, or if they call it like an act of God, or is it not covered?
Natural disaster, act of God. It's like hailstones and whatnot. Yeah. They even strike. There's even strike cover now in case like there's a strike and then they damage your car or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Lol, the Afrikaans community commenting, my donder, my fuck, says Hanan. Yeah. That's what you hear. It's wild, man. Mariner's restaurant on the South Coast too, apparently, according to propaganda. Roxanne says, I was in Hermanus and the waves are 9 meters high. That's insane. Sure. And Fatima says there were sufficient warnings provided. Or she's asking, were they?
Yeah.
I don't know, but Gees says something like 20 houses burnt down in Limpopo as well. What a crazy weekend.
Yeah,
like that's the witches, though. That's the witches. It's unrelated to God.
They were just jumping on the bandwagon.
Brandon says, gee, I saw you were in my hometown, Heidelberg, this weekend. Did you take a wrong turn or what? No, there was the wedding. So I went to Kyle Kassum's wedding on Saturday night. And it was so cool because there were so many people there that I knew. It was like every DJ that I've known for the last 25 years everyone was there. So I don't know who, well, not radio DJs, like club DJs, that kind of thing. But there were some radio DJs too. So yeah, it was fantastic. Beautiful wedding, by the way. Just I mean, which, you know, who goes to a wedding and goes, oh, it was revolting, and the people they all looked nice. It was very lovely, and people had a lot of fun, and I honestly don't think there was a downside. And my God, can they all handle tequila? And for me to say that is something else. But really cool. I was sitting at a table with Abby Newrock and Dean Fuel and Kyle Wood. Yeah, it was very cool. It was just lots and lots of people there that I knew.
Did you look at people and think, have you got the like old age filter on, or is that really you?
No, you know what? A lot of them are looking very good, I've got to say. Like that, you know, there really weren't any people that I was like, ooh, wow, what the hell happened to you? You know, which is good. I hope no one was looking at me going, oh my God, what the hell happened to you?
No, you looked pretty swashbuckly. You look very nice.
But Kyle Karssing is now, he does a show on 5FM, and so does his brother Austin. But I don't know that. Someone had to tell me that. So I went up and I said, hi, I'm Gareth Cliff. You might remember me from when 5FM still had listeners, which... No, they loved it.
Fighting words. Them's the fighting words.
So no, apparently there were people there, Leigh-Ann, who are on the station now, who are names that we should know. But I honestly, someone said to me afterwards that, did you see this one? I didn't know who they were. So, I mean, I'm talking about...
You can't make certain things your life. I mean, I myself gave 5FM 16 years of my life. Doesn't mean I'm going to continue listening to it afterwards. Some things come to an end.
Right. Yeah. It's like you, what does the Bible say? You have to, when you are a child, you play with toys, but when you become an adult, you must put away childish things.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Kind of how it is, right?
There's a time.
But it was a lovely wedding, and people all had loads of fun, and it was just very, very cute. Very cute, very cool, very nice. I have nothing but love for, you know, when you see people together and they really have that look in their eyes that you can tell these people just absolutely want to spend the rest of their life together. It's so nice to be a part of that. So I loved it. I really did. It was very, very nice. And yeah, Heidelberg is not much to remark on. I mean, it's not a bad place. Like I didn't explore, but it's
on the way to Durban, right?
Yeah,
it's the first.
Yeah, first little town really as you head out of Johannesburg. If you can't really count like Alberton because that's really part of Joburg, right? So it's sort of after that. It's the first town after that, and there's that nature reserve, the Suikerbosrand Nature Reserve there. So there's some very beautiful scenery, and I mean the town itself is charming. It's not like falling apart. I've seen some small South African towns that have really, in the last 15, 20 years, fallen to pieces. But this one is still, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it looks in a pretty good state to me. And that's just driving through. There's this beautiful stone church in the middle of it, which is really a landmark. But as for the rest, I mean, it looks, you know, kind of like the suburbs. There were some people playing cricket on a field outside of it. The actual wedding venue that we went to was about 9 minutes out of town. And just this beautiful place, kind of this very modern building with lots of glass and steel in the middle of this very dramatic, you know, high felt landscape. It was lovely. Very, very nice.
And was it there because they live near there, or was it just a destination wedding?
No, it was like a destination wedding. And it's amazing how many people made a real event of it. You know, you stay in like a B&B or a little hotel or whatever, because there are places around Heidelberg you can stay. I didn't know, but clearly there's a tourist like market there. Well, it was nice. Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah. And obviously there's no shortage of good music and DJs around.
Yeah.
So I don't know where.
My mum calls them DJs. I don't know why she puts the emphasis on the wrong syllable, but she does it with DJs. with saws. She does saws like you find in the park next to the swings. Oh, ice cream. Got chocolate flavored ice cream. Anyway.
An NCA reporter apparently called the Cabana Hotel at Sun City, where the fire occurred, the Cannabis Hotel. Wouldn't that be something if it was like cannabis that started the fire, right?
Dude, like
could have been.
Anyway, wow, what a weekend! So lots of stuff, hey, lots and lots of stuff. This is my sign that the apocalypse is nigh. During a meeting on Wednesday, the cabinet, that's our cabinet here in South Africa, was assured that elevated stages of load shedding are a temporary measure that will have long-term benefits for the country.
Benefits?
Yeah, exactly.
What about the economy?
Right. The disaster here is that these guys are now trying to convince themselves and us that level 6 load shedding is a good thing. The minister in the presidency, Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, said during a briefing on the first meeting on Wednesday that cabinet had extensive deliberations about the electricity challenges the country is facing. In particular, they were updated on Eskom's current planned maintenance program that's being implemented to ensure sustainability. And they're saying it's a good thing. Are these people, I mean, are their brains directly connected to their assholes?
You assume there is a brain.
Assuming there is a brain. That's a good point. It could be like a fungus. They all share this hive mind and they just like plug into it when they go into the cabinet meeting.
For me, what killed me about this story, especially when I looked it up, was that there is no facts. It's just like, just trust us. That load shedding is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, this lady on
I think they were smoking that cannabis when they put together that press release. But well done to them for sneaking in all those positive words.
Yeah, like
pretty good.
This is good. We are shutting down electricity so that we can have more electricity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what they were saying.
That was like when I saw a loaf of bread that I used to buy often, and all of a sudden they had a new marketing ploy, and it said more slices on it, and people didn't realize that just meant it was the same amount of bread. It's just that your slices are thinner. That's
called communist bread. Here's the minister in the presidency who said that. I mean, I've never. Have you seen her before?
No,
I can't say I have.
It's hard to find any information about her. She's like, I don't know, 21 or something.
Yeah, she's probably like a journalism student who writes speeches and whatnot.
Something like that.
Oh, or did political science. She looks very smart.
Yeah, well, I mean, is she? Nobody knows, right? Because if she's saying things like this that are obviously propaganda, how seriously can we take her? So she is 46, in which case she looks pretty damn good for her age.
Oh, wait, pull that picture up. Is she 46?
46, yeah. I look 46.
Oh, she was 21.
Okay, so there's a plus. I mean, not that we're looking for good-looking, but useless cabinet ministers. But if we did, she'd be at the top of the list. You know? All right. Well, Greta Thunberg, while we're talking about useless people, was arrested with the charges of disobeying a police order to leave a protest at a busy port in Sweden after she was convicted of a similar offense some months ago. It's an oil port, and she was there going, "How dare you!" to everyone who was like trading oil.
You load all that oil. How dare you?
Surely this.
Did you see her smirk though?
She must be so tired.
No, man, she just wants attention because I saw like a picture of this girl, like, and she's smiling about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, no, this is attention grabbing. This is not anymore. She's trying to save the planet. She's on her own hype. She's smiling. She's smirking. Okay, I don't know, like I didn't load it up, but she's smiling.
Oh, you mean when they're arresting her?
When they're arresting her, she's smiling. I'm like, yeah, she's like,
But you know what? Like in Sweden, are you kidding? If you get arrested in Sweden, I've got the picture. It's ridiculous. She's like having a time. If you're arrested in Sweden, don't you just go to like a very fancy 5-star hotel?
Yeah,
and then you get free TV, free accommodation, free meals. I mean, like in Sweden, going to prison is like going to a holiday. That's what it's like.
It is. It's like there's a a village that people go to with freestanding houses, and that's where you live. That no one's tied up at all.
I mean, look at her here. She's like, I'm having a time. This looks like those pictures you see of people being taken away from festivals when they're high on drugs. You know?
Jeez,
That's what it looks like.
Policemen are like guarded up.
Hey.
Well,
what's she gonna do? Poke them with a twig?
No, and they look like they're just hiding their faces because the other climate protesters will come and get them if they show who they are. You know, it's just, I mean, it's all play acting, from Cabinet saying that there are long-term benefits to stage 6 to Greta Thunberg being arrested. It's all play acting. It's these people putting on a show, and they think we're watching. I mean, look, we are talking about it this morning, which is partly our fault, but it's not. I think unless you're a complete moron, you see through this stuff, right?
Hopefully.
It's pretending. Just insane.
I mean, are people that bored? There's enough going on. We've just said this morning that the end is nigh.
Yeah,
that's what Greta's been saying, arguably.
Yeah, that's true.
Slippery Pickle says it looks like Victoria, Australia, is in lockdown today. Extra re-education for dissidents, repeat offenders will be gassed. I don't know if you're talking nonsense or if they actually are, but there are all these rumors starting to go around that they are relaunching the COVID bullshit again. You know that, right? That people are talking about.
So
yeah,
the COVID.
You believe it? You believe it, Bakh'abantu?
I don't. Currently in South Africa, right, there's an egg and a chicken shortage, and people don't know about this. That's why eggs are so
Which
expensive.
came first?
There's an avian flu going on. That's what we should be talking about. There's listeriosis. That's why beef is scarce and scanty and expensive, because there's listeriosis that broke out in the beef, but we're not talking about it. There's waves and whatnot, but like they want to go back to COVID, the flu. Give me a break.
Yeah, come on.
They want to get people wearing masks.
If they're gonna pull this shit again, this time I'm absolutely ignoring it. I was already irritated last time, but
you were actually, for like a whole year.
just irritated. Like Gareth on COVID was just irritated.
I wasn't thrilled. Let's put it that way, because I could see it was bullshit. And listen,
you were just watching people conform, and it was killing you.
No, but Leigh-Ann, you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to see that this was a massive bullshit story being perpetrated by the world's stupidest people who happen to occupy offices that are important.
No, I mean, I think you had a point.
I think it's been borne out in the evidence that I was right. And I don't want to keep going on about that. It's not so important that I was right, but it's important that we don't fall for this shit again, right? And I honestly, if they come at me with this, you've got to wear a mask again nonsense, I will absolutely not comply. And if they have to, if that means I can't go, that means I can't go to the shops, then I won't go to the shops, or I'll argue every time I go into the shops and just get arrested every time. I don't care. I'll do like Greta Thunberg. I'll do a Greta Thunberg, and they can take me out of the checkers every time. Oh, how dare you? I just want to do my shopping. How dare you?
You must wear your mask, Gareth. Gareth, you must wear your mask.
Yeah,
let's see you coming a mile away.
Yeah, why should we listen to some person who's, like the customer services or security guard at the shop? I mean, it's ridiculous. Was this a health officer? Nikki says, what about the Russell Brand bullshit? Because did you see this? He was arrested for what? For like sexual abuse or whatever? Leigh-Ann, you're on mute for some reason.
I don't know if he was arrested. I haven't looked it up in the last few hours.
Did your tits press the mute button?
No, I muted it because I had to couch, as my brother spelt it once on WhatsApp. But there was a big expose by a TV channel in connection or in conjunction with a newspaper, I think. But he knew about the accusations before they were going to come out and go live on this expose, and sent out a video flatly denying everything. And so it was a good PR stunt because everyone was focused on his response video without even watching the show, which released all the allegations, which was annoying. And then he's also on tour at the moment, so he carried on his tour, and people cheered him on, and yeah, he just went on as normal. But he's got like allegations of rape by 5 women, 5 different women.
Doesn't that feel like it's coordinated? Doesn't that feel like it's just bullshit? When, like, it's obviously not recent. So what, all 5 of these women just coincidentally had to lay these charges or make it a story out of the blue? It doesn't seem
I don't know the full background, but
wow. Well,
who knows?
I mean, Ted De Boer says, I think Daily Mail did a hit piece as well. He's been calling out Big Pharma, and they don't like that. He'll get Epsteined if he doesn't watch out. So apparently, I mean, this is quite a big story in America, but nowhere near as big as it should be. Like they've just found a bunch of these pharmaceutical companies, and this came up with Pumi on Thursday about how they've, these companies have just been making nonsense products and charging like a wounded buffalo for them. And most of these products don't even work. So there's this big story in America about like Sudafed and some other or decongestant medicines that just never work, that have just been, now finally they've decided like they have to admit to the public that these things are never, it's not because they found new information. These things have just now been revealed finally to be total nonsense. They're like bogus products. They do not have any effect on anyone. And these companies have already made billions off of these particular brand names.
But they're also they're claiming to have improved on certain medications, and so they're charging more for them. And we're talking like chronic medications for serious illnesses, things like diabetes and dementia and things like that, where they've tripled the price, but nothing has changed in the medication. The formula is exactly the same.
So this is a problem with patenting stuff in America and patent law in America, where they get to what it's called proprietary information. So you don't disclose your formula. So you can mess with the dosages. This is why I don't subscribe to a brand. I subscribe to like even a multivitamin. It needs what you call efficacy amount. So you need 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Anything less than that is bullshit. Your body's going to pass that through. You're not going to earn anything from that. So if someone is selling you vitamin C 800 milligrams, it's fake. It's nonsense. Your body won't absorb it. Done. So like these companies, all they do, they fiddle with the numbers, and then they release a new product. Big Pharma has been doing it. It's a lot in the supplement industry also. But there's this guy called Martin Shkreli who took this medicine, like it was for like, I don't remember what it was. I think it was for like diabetes medication, but people really needed this medicine. He took it from 20 something, and then I think he times it by 400%. And he was the only one who had the patent on this medication. He made billions. And he could just control the market on this thing. He's in prison now for different circumstances. But in America, there's a big loophole in terms of big pharma and it being unregulated.
Well, it sounds dodgy as hell. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that these people have just been selling us like, vitamin C or salt tablets or whatever. And
there was talcum powder that in baby formula, and they just got a fine. No one got arrested. They just got a fine. Talcum powder in baby powder, like in baby milk.
Boiled Prawn Shack says wasn't that Russell Brand wasn't arrested. It was a trial by media. It seems highly suspect. If there are any accusations, may he have his day in court.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening there, but it sounds rough. Sanela says Russell is in a feud with mainstream media. They sent him a few threats to try and shut him up before they miraculously broke this rape bullshit. Russell Brand made a good point about Big Pharma. He said the public funded the COVID vaccine research, yet they made all the money from it. Never thought about it like that. Yeah. Yes, there we go. Anyway, I mean, listen, these people are all just crooks, and what it makes me think is that you can trust so much less than you used to in all of this stuff. I mean, when we were kids, we would just automatically believe our parents, the doctors, the media. You'd turn on the news. You wouldn't go, oh, that person in the suit on the TV's lying. Now I'm like, everything is suspicious to me. Forgive me. I mean, it's like...
But it's like the boy who cried wolf. We're not going to believe people when they're telling the truth.
You know what I still believe? I still believe in sport, because at least you could see what's happening on the field. So let's get to some sport, because it's time for that with Beyond the Scoreboard. It's our little recap of what happened over the weekend with Super Bets. And here is Ryan to give us a sports update after Leigh-Ann and Bakh'abantu have been fired properly for their contribution. Go ahead. What do we got this morning? Oh, by the way, Ryan, happy birthday for last week. Ryan took the week off because he had a birthday. Where did you go? Did you go away?
Oh, thank you. I didn't go away. I had to holiday in Joburg, so I just took a little bit of a break. But I hung out with some friends. It was awesome. It was great.
Nice. Well,
now I'm older, so thank you. Ugh.
Yeah, older and wise.
You look older. You don't have much graffiti on, or any graffiti. The glasses are on. The beard's longer. You can see you've aged in the last week.
I know, absolutely. But I feel rested now, so that's good.
I don't know if that's a compliment, Ryan. You've aged in a week. I don't know if that's a compliment.
Can I tell you? I take it as it comes. Bakh'abantu. I take it as it comes.
All right, give us a little bit of a look into the sport, because I know you were paying attention to that over the weekend.
Did any of you guys watch the rugby this weekend?
Yes.
So
I didn't, but I mean, it was a thrashing for us, right?
Oh, for us, it was crazy. Because if you remember, I think it was a week or two ago, was it France who did this, or France did the same to Romania? Or no, it was Ireland, sorry, 82-12, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's Ireland. So anyway, let's get into it. We had in Pool A, we had France 27, Uruguay 12. France took that one. New Zealand 71, Namibia 3. Then we have Pool B. Ireland 59 and Tonga 16. And then we have South Africa 76, Romania nothing. That was awesome. We had Villy Leroux on a bit too long, in my opinion, but
but isn't something isn't it a score like that, or watching a game like that, isn't it a bit orcs for the others?
It was. It really felt like it was just like a training day for the Springboks, to be honest.
It's like a little bit embarrassing. I mean, you wouldn't want to be a Romanian supporter at the end of that match. It must have been very, I suppose, just humiliating is the word.
But even after the third try, you're like off as a South African. You're like, okay, we know we're gonna win. Come on, like.
I feel like we just, especially I noticed we kept on a few players that shouldn't have been on as long, but it was just so everyone could play it. I guess. I don't know. And it was nice that we're back to green and gold, guys. Like, not a fan of that other kit. Anyway, Pool C, we had.
I lost on all my bets on Super Bets. You can go find out how to bet. Just go along to Super Bets, SUPABETS.co.za, and you can go and try yourself. But I've still got one running on.
Is it?
I think, so I've put down a leading try scorer bet on Cheslin Colby, so he wasn't even on the field for us this weekend, but this is a long-running one for the whole for the whole tournament, so we'll see. Anyway, I mean, look, Ben did warn me. He said I wouldn't do that, but I went ahead and bet because I saw some good odds, and I was like, I'll go for those because even if I don't,
that's how they get you.
But I didn't put huge money down.
No, they tease you with the good odds. Because I was also thinking of just putting everything I have into the Springboks, but the thing is, everyone knew it was going to be a bulldozer event, so the odds were so low.
Okay.
Then we have Pool C. We have Wales taking this one 28 to 8 Portugal, and Fiji 22 and 15 to Australia. Fiji took that one. Pool D, Samoa 43 and Chile 10. And then we also had England and Japan last night. England 34, Japan 12. That was a very cool one. Good. Getting some cricket. Now, I don't watch cricket that much, but Ben pays a lot of attention to cricket. So he said, South Africa wins the ODI series 3-2 versus Australia to prove they aren't actually that shit, which is great. With the fourth ODI in Centurion on Friday was won by 164 runs, and the fifth ODI on Wanderers on Sunday won by 122 runs.
I was amazed. I saw so many people in the stands at the Wanderers on TV.
Yeah.
They were showing them.
I haven't gone to watch cricket in years. I'd love to know. I'd love to go and just do it.
I'm sure it's
again.
like probably free. Like just walk up, like just
Is it free?
I'm sure you can just walk up and just walk in.
I just remember
look,
I'd just go there and I'd see like Joey
But it was-
Radstein all the time,
Yeah.
and you know.
Because a friend of mine just come in and with a picnic blanket and they just chill there. So I don't think it's you pay money.
It looks like fun, though. I mean, we should do it. It seems like a good
Well,
day out.
it seemed like there were a lot of people having a very good time. So yes, good, awesome.
It's not. It's nice that we're all getting back in the stands. Then you know.
Correct.
Yeah, I know some people who were stuck in traffic because of it. So there's definitely an increase in numbers again.
Time it well. Time it well.
Mhm.
All right, let's get into some Premier League. Liverpool took this one versus Wolves. It was 3-1. We had Spurs 2-1 to Sheffield United. Then we had Man United 1-3 to Brighton. There's a bit of a thrash in there. Sorry, guys. Even I was hoping for a Man United thrashing Brighton because I just don't like them, but didn't turn out that way. Then we have West Ham 1-3 to Man City. Man City take that one. We have Newcastle 1-0 to Brentford and Bournemouth 0-0 to Chelsea. Oh, it's a horrible game to watch.
Can you explain your team? Can you explain?
No one can explain our team, Bakh'abantu. It is an anomaly, and it's so annoying because we just cannot finish a sentence.
Suck. You guys have so much money.
Oh.
Suck.
I know. It was funny because I was trying to watch the game and the Springboks at the same time, and the Formula One was on, so it was a bit of a difficult one to manage. Then it was finally last night we finished off with Arsenal 1, Everton 0. So that's fantastic. Now for just the final bonus sport, we had the Formula One in Singapore. Good game. It's a good race.
Good game.
Race. Max's record has come to an end. He
It's like
won.
we might have
streak is
to fire
over.
you.
Yeah, his
We
streak
might
is
have to
over.
fire you as well for the sport. It's like
No,
we've run
it was
out.
a small
The
slip up.
streak is
Come on
over.
now.
Small slip up. Come on, Gareth.
Come on, Gareth.
Max's
You've been watching
streak
all this.
is over. Unfortunately, I'm so mad. He's had 10 races. He's won 12 overall, but he's had 10 straight races in a row. And yesterday, he didn't even make it to podium, which is crazy. No Red Bull in podium yesterday. So we had Carlos Sainz take first. That's Ferrari. We had Lando Norris second, McLaren, and Lewis Hamilton third for Mercedes. And that's
Very nice.
a sport. Follow me on Twitter for more.
There we go. Beyond the scoreboard, and our little weekend sports recap with Superbets. Superbets supports responsible gambling. Strictly no under 18s. Winners know when to stop. The South African Responsible Gambling Foundation's toll-free counseling hotline is 0800 006 008. And I have Dr. Hanan on just now, and we're going to open up the lines to whatever you want to ask him, because we've discovered that people have lots of things in the comment section that they want to sort out with Dr. Hanan. And as I've said before, the man is so busy that you will not get an appointment with him. So your best chance of getting good advice from Dr. Hanan is being on this show and telling us what you need right here and now. This is the only chance you're going to get. So let us know what's on your mind. If it's a relationship problem, whether it's something that you are dealing with a colleague at work, family, anything, money, getting your head around difficult questions, all of that stuff. We will
You
help
sound like
you
that
solve.
you sound like that pamphlet, like you see, like penis enlargement, lost lover.
Can do all- Dr. Hanan can do all that as well. So just get ready.
Look out for our posters everywhere.
Max Van Stappen losing. If you have all those problems, Chelsea drawing,
I know.
just ask Dr. Hanan. He'll give you the answers.
Carl
Carl-
Santos does say, can Ryan explain his statement? 0-0 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I saw that.
So there was another
Saw.
slip up.
Yeah, no, that's the slip up. That's the slip up of the day.
0-0 to
I'm
Chelsea.
just getting back into the swing of things, guys. I've been off the whole week.
Yeah, he's been away for a week. Give him a
Yeah,
chance.
he's a bit
Give me
older. Like
some
Leigh-Ann
slack.
said, he's a lot older in this week. He's forgetting things. He's watching too many TVs.
Yeah,
Because
no,
all the
way
thieves
too
of-
many TVs.
all the thieves have counted his TVs. We know he has
Well,
many TVs. We know
Now
he's
at least
older.
we know. Well, he needs all these TVs because he had Formula One, cricket, and rugby all going on at the same time. He's
Same
watching
time.
all these TVs. It's like a You know, those stock traders who have like 5 different screens open.
Yeah.
And they're busy looking. Well, that's Ryan watching sports.
Like,
this
yeah,
weekend.
Booker, Chelsea.
Yeah, it's literally, that's exactly how it was. I had like everyone screaming. It was so many screams in the room. And then I'm watching the Chelsea game at the same time. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is really like the emotional roller coaster this is taking me on is crazy.
Just going,
yeah.
The confusing thing when you've got all of those TVs on with all different sports on them, you're not sure whether people are shouting for this or for that or for the other. So it's very confusing. It can get you horribly, misunderstood. Like Leigh-Ann, when she didn't have power, she was judging whether the sport was going well by the neighbors' noises.
Yeah.
So this would have confused the hell out of it. Like someone's screaming for like Formula One, but it's got nothing to do with the rugby. Confusing.
Also, don't admit to having 3 TVs because the SABC will be phoning you soon for your licenses.
Wait, do you need 3 TV licenses for 3 TVs?
Oh, I don't know.
No.
So I said to them this last time, I actually don't have a TV. Okay. And they said, well, then you need to cancel it, but then you still need to pay the 900 Rand that you owe.
Forget it.
What kills me is the SABC couldn't even like fund their own like viewing of the World Cup. Other companies had to pitch in just so that the public can watch.
Yeah,
private companies,
and it's only the South African games, right?
Yeah, I think we got granted 16 games out of all of them, and I'm just like, how can you be a public broadcaster if the private, companies have to fund you? Anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
But Ryan, you're barking up the wrong tree. They don't care. They're not actually interested in any of this. All right. We've got so many other things to get to this morning. One of the things that my broadband was reporting over the weekend, which we've got to talk about, and maybe we'll save this for after Dr. Hanan, but National Treasury officials reportedly proposed a 1 or 2% VAT increase in order to sustain our 350 Rand social relief grants. And the president was warned about this. If this happens, they say people will be outraged, because I was thinking about this this morning.
We're already standing here naked. What are they going to do? Take our nipples?
Yeah, so
of course you're going to make it about tits, Leigh-Ann.
So if you haven't felt inflation and you think it's just a made-up thing, it's like a theoretical thing, inflation, just think about how much cheaper it was to live exactly the way that you're living now 5 years ago. Because it was.
Yeah.
It was cheaper. Everything cost you less. Water, electricity, groceries, petrol, all of those day-to-day costs are more expensive now, and they've gone up in a quite dramatic fashion, I would say, than they were 5 years, 10 years ago. And that to me means we're not standing still, we're going backwards. So if they want to propose an extra 1 or 2% on VAT, which, by the way, is the only tax they'll actually be able to get in the money that they need to, I think it'll send people into a complete apoplexy. People will be taking to the streets. I mean, this could be the thing that finally, teaches this government not to mess with people. I don't know. It could be. Having said that, people in this country are so damn placid and forgiving that we'll probably just go, all right, carry on.
I mean,
and they just pay.
You've got to buy a pie and a Coke so that you can strike while you're on the street, and so you're just going to pay that extra VAT for your energy.
In defense of the people, it's in South Africa, we don't have a choice with tax. It's like VAT. We don't have a choice. We don't get to choose the stuff. It's like pay as you earn. By the time you get your money, it's already taxed. So they have us by the balls, or by the tits, as Leigh-Ann put it.
Absolutely. All right.
I was the idiots who still thought we were paying 14% VAT. I didn't realize it was already up to 15%.
Yeah,
it was a surprise for me completely.
It keeps on going up and up and up. So
anyway,
I'm sorry, Ryan. That's all the time we have for Ryan's economic updates. Everybody, we've had a sport update. Now we're ready for the Thank you. Thank you.
Follow Hawksley.
Yeah, follow me
for economic updates.
Twitter,
It's for his economic updates. That's a good idea.
Yeah. He'll tell you what the price of VAT is every day. And how many TVs he has.
Do not tell anyone how many TVs you have. All right, let's go to Dr. Hanan. It's Monday morning. We do a thing with him every week. It's going to be okay because people need to know. We've spoken quite a lot about relationships, how to start one, how to make it work. Today, we're going to look at how to end one amicably. Among other things, we've got some questions too. So, Doc, how are you, first of all?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Excellent. Extremely well, thank you. So let's talk about how you end a relationship in an adult, mature, sensible, non-destructive way. Because people are, we've addressed some of the things that can happen in relationships so far, and you've been really helpful setting, sensible goals in place and teaching people about the processes you should follow. But how about when you look at the writing on the wall and you go, okay, well, the thing's going to end. How do I do this properly?
So it's people know how to start a relationship because they follow their feelings. They're in love. It's a honeymoon phase. Everybody's on cloud nine. Everybody's madly in love, and there's affection and intimacy. But to end a relationship is quite challenging because people don't want to hurt other people, and they don't want to be shortchanged in the relationship either. So the method is quite different. And I must say, as the relationship becomes more entrenched, more complex, more robust, the more you have to know the rules of disengagement, because there's a lot more to lose. So think about a relationship that's been going on for a week versus a relationship that involves kids and structures and homes and financial obligations. It becomes a lot more complicated later on down the line. But the first...
Looks like we've lost Dr. Hanan. That's how we ended our relationship with him.
He's just ended it.
Gone.
That's how relationship.
The first thing is just ghost them.
Just ghost them. Yeah.
Just go black at them.
That's quite a dramatic way for him to tell us what we should do. Just quit the stream, right?
Yeah.
Ryan, see if you can find him and get Dr. Hanan back on, because whatever's going on there, he's definitely not online anymore. He's gone.
Lots of questions. How do you explain the sadness that goes into festive season, like a mild depression? That's from Pablo. And from Fatima, hi, doctor. People's lies and immorality seem to irritate me for more than it should. Far more than it should. What could be the reason for that? How do you resolve that? And there, Ricky predicted it. You block your ex from every platform and you move on.
I know people who do that. I just don't know if that's a very practical long-term solution. The problem is that people are so childish these days. And I must tell you, if you're not prepared to face up to your responsibilities, I don't know if this is part of what Dr. Hanan is going to tell us or not, but you can't just ghost people and you can't just avoid responsibility. You have to actually sometimes be the main actor in your own life. You can't wait for things to happen. And I'll tell you what, the most unhappy people I know are the ones who allow things to happen to them. And they pretend.
You can't be passive.
They convince themselves they have no role to play in their actual life. To me, that is the most pathetic and sad thing that is possible. If you don't have the balls to stand up for yourself, who else will?
I remember in high school, you would just send your friend to go to the guy and say, listen, it's over. That's how it worked with us. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. But yeah.
It must have been just you. But you see, that's the kind of thing that ultimately does lead to terrible unhappiness, because you remove your own agency from the equation. It's silly. Between the three of us, we're not going to try and give the advice that Hanan would have given, because none of us are qualified to do this. And the last thing I want to dispense is relationship advice, because I'll be terrible at that. But I do think you have to be the one that makes the decision. Look,
qualified.
Yeah, here he is. What happened? Did you have terrible load shedding or something?
You guessed it right. Sure has this in the middle. A cliffhanger.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
but by the way, that's not. I know. That's not how to handle a relationship. That's not how to end a relationship. You don't just pretend there's load shedding. That's not how to do it.
Where were we?
So the first thing that you have to be aware of in a relationship is, are you ending it for the right reasons? Are you sure that this is what you want to do for yourself, for your family, if there are kids involved? Are you sure you're not ending it for emotional reasons, but are you ending it for the right reasons? And we've discussed the many reasons why you should be in a relationship, so we're not going to go over it. But if you're ending it for the right reasons, now you want to done, finished, I want to move on for the right reasons, you have to make sure that the rules of engagement are discussed specifically. So you want to make sure that, one, timing is everything. So saying the right thing at the wrong time is wrong. So you want to make sure that you are both not only doing it at the right time, but both partners are willing to negotiate. And willing to negotiate is when you're both in a calm and logical and rational state, not when both partners or either partners are in an anxious state. And the reason why is because when you're in a calm state, you're willing to negotiate and compromise, and you're willing to get creative around how do we pursue this breakup. But when you are in a, yes?
No, so the best time would not be when you like catch him in bed with another woman. That's not a great time to negotiate the end of the relationship. Am I right?
Well, give it 5 minutes. Wait for them to get dressed. Give it some time. I think that would be just inappropriate. So so you want to do it obviously when everybody's in a calm, logical, rational state, not in an anxious state, because when you're in an anxious state, you want to win. And if you win and now the partner loses, then the relationship loses. So you want to do it in a calm state. First of all, the timing is important. And then you want to discuss with your partner, what are your goals, and you want to lay them out on the table. So assuming you're going to do it in a calm state, you want to know, what do you want to achieve out of this? Is it a clean breakup? Are there kids involved? Do you want to get some money out of this? Because financial stability or insecurity is a big thing, especially when the relationship has been going on for quite a while and there are financial implications. What do you want to get out of it? And put that on the table before you discuss it with attorneys and lawyers and get mediation, assuming there's a marriage involved or there are kids. Try to do this amicably yourself. If you can't discuss the rules, then the rules of disengagement, what I'm expecting from you, what you're expecting from me, then you get a third party involved. But a third party doesn't necessarily mean an attorney. A third party could be a trusted friend that could maybe mediate the conversation. And if that doesn't work, you can seek professional advice, even from a psychologist or a mediator or an attorney.
Okay. All right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. While you were dealing with the load shedding, I mentioned to Leigh-Ann and Bakh'abantu that there are also a lot of people who don't take personal responsibility for these things. So they allow events to happen to them. And I think there's a huge amount of this that has to do with agency, Doc. Like people who, that you have to take responsibility for the decisions, and you have to make certain considerations your priority. You can't allow things to just happen to you, or else you will end up with the worst end of the deal, right?
Yeah, for sure. Look, I mean, I always say to people, know what you want, because as I've mentioned probably 1,000 times on the show, my favorite quote is, if you're not the chess player of your life, you're a pawn in someone else's. If you don't know what you want, you'll end up where other people want to take you. If you enter into a negotiation, and ending a relationship is about a negotiation. It's like, I've gained certain things, you've got certain things, I've got certain resources, you've got certain resources. How do we split it in a way that allows you to move at creating a sense of closure for you, and how do I do the same? But if you do not know what you want and what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to give and what you want to get out of the other person, whilst the other partner knows exactly what they want and what they're willing to give, you will end up with nothing. You will end up with the short end of the stick. So take some time to self-reflect. What do I want to get out of this? What is my responsibility? And by the way, we must talk also about, what do we do beyond the breakup? How do you evolve into a better person? Because you surely don't want to repeat the same mistake and the same mistakes, and you don't want to recreate familiarity. You want to get into new relationships that are better, for you, that are better fit.
And you want to be able to face that person again, especially if you have been in a marriage or you've got kids together, because you're going to be seeing them again. It's not like you can just wipe them out of your life, erase them completely. You're going to have an adult, sensible, mature way of dealing with them going forward. And that's not going to be to ignore them every time you see them in public.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. People, unfortunately, when they break up, to my first point, When they do it, certainly in an anxious or an angry or a jealous or a frustrated phase or state, then they want to win. And when you win, the other person loses. And then you break the relationship. And then when you see them, especially when there are kids involved, I need to say this because this must be highlighted. If there are kids involved, you don't have the luxury to be selfish. You just do not have the luxury, because kids don't have a voice in a breakup, especially young kids. Kids don't have a voice in the divorce. And if you do not put them at the forefront of your decision-making, you are cheating them. And if you think, just because you're going to bed saying, I'm doing this for my kids, if you think that you're doing this for your kids, you are absolutely lying to yourself. So should you end a relationship? Of course, if the relationship isn't working, of course, you should look at alternatives and eventually maybe even end the relationship. But always put the kids at the forefront of your decision-making, because they are the what do you call it? The innocent bystanders that are getting hurt in the process, for sure.
All right. So Kala says, and I think this is an interesting question because you could take it to people who are not in relationships necessarily, but does the same apply to adult friendships? It seems like the older you get, the harder it is to make and maintain new friendships. And that's true, I think. How do you end a friendship that's kind of run its course? Again, do you sit down and negotiate?
So with friendships, it's a little bit easier because they seem to naturally dissipate and dilute, and eventually they're no longer there. But if, for example, you have a kind of friendship with somebody that, maybe where their relationships are not equal. In other words, I want to have a relationship or a friendship with you. You don't want to have a friendship with me, and therefore I'm continuously getting hurt. At some point, one of us is going to have to sit down in an amicable, calm, creative state and talk about the rules of engagement. And sometimes the rules of engagement is this relationship no longer serves us, and therefore we need to break up, and this is how we're going to do it.
All right. There was a question earlier on from somebody, and we're not there yet, but Pablo wanted to know. I mean, I think this is really interesting. We are heading towards the end of the year, and although spring is here and I'm thrilled, and a lot of people are very happy about this time of year, Pablo says, how do you explain the sadness that goes into the festive season, like a mild depression? And of course, there are all kinds of reasons for this to happen, but people are building up towards this at the end of the year. It can be a very strenuous time. We haven't really referred to this yet. It's totally unrelated to the relationship question, but do you have any advice on that before we go?
I do. So I'm watching the most incredible documentary on Netflix, and I suggest that everybody watches that as well. It's called Live to 100. And it's this researcher that goes around the world, and he found that there are spots around the world where people go to be the happiest, the oldest, the healthiest, and he called those spots blue zones. And you want to know what's the common denominator. How come people in those spots grow to be old and happy and successful and healthy? And he found that I'll group it into 3 common denominator amongst those spots. One is health. People eat and exercise and get good sleep. 2 is a sense of purpose. Obviously, they'll wake up and have something to look forward to. And number 3, there's a great sense of community. People have other connections to other human beings. And to answer the question is, towards the end of the season, when everybody is about connection, everybody's about going out, meeting family, friends, and connecting to other human beings. And especially if other people don't have that, in comparison, that can feel very lonely. And the loneliness is a major, major part of depression that we see coming into the spring and summertime.
Have that sense of community, health, and what else did you say it was?
Purpose.
Sense of purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That's all we got time for with Dr. Hanan today, and he won't ghost us like he did earlier. We'll speak to him. Doc, nice to see you.
All right, nice to see you guys. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Dr. Hanan Bushkin. All right, so we will be back with a whole lot more in a short while. We've also got someone called Shea Karssing who's going to be joining us just now. And Shea has written a book about freelancing, which is something, Leigh-Ann, you know a lot about.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know how to be your own boss effectively. You could do many different jobs, work for a whole bunch of different companies. It's not as easy as it sounds.
No.
She's got some tips for us to help people who want to freelance. who are tired of being in one job, maybe. Also, people who are already freelancing and need some ideas of how to do it better. So all of that's coming up in a little while. Plus, we got some other funny stuff, and I've got this woman I've got to show you. She's like this hairdresser or something, but I don't know. I mean, like, it's amazing how sometimes you watch something on the internet and it just completely, you become obsessed with it. I mean, like, now I want to find out all about this woman. She's got like some hair salon somewhere, but she looks so bizarre, and I don't know why. I'm suddenly obsessed with her. I've got to show you who she is. It's not because she's good looking either. She's weird. So all of that's on the way. Don't go anywhere. cliffcentral.com. It is Monday morning.
This week on the AutoTrader podcast.
In Cape Town this past weekend, and I saw an R8 with the top down, and it looked really nice. I won't lie, but for me, I don't know. I've never been into like.
Yeah, I always wonder with smash and grabs and
in South Africa,
in South Africa hijacking. You probably stop at a traffic light and you suddenly got a passenger. Like,
guys just jumps in. He's
where
like,
we
drive. I got a getaway driver. When you hijack with the hijacker.
I mean, no, not even a getaway. It's just somebody catching a lift. Jumps in the car. And
I wonder if that's happened before. I wonder what the rates of. I mean,
you've seen Bucky stop at a traffic light, right?
Yep.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Which person doesn't like sugar?
Yeah, no, everyone likes sugar. Now, when I've got clients come to me and they say I don't eat sugar, what they really mean is they don't put sugar in their coffee, or they don't go and eat a chocolate every day, but there's sugar in everything. There's sugar in processed foods. There's sugar in breads. There's sugar in sauces. Sugar is hiding everywhere, and sugar's in alcohol. Sugar's in everything. And this is the underlying issue of most lifestyle diseases today, is the amount of sugar we think we're not eating, that's hiding in places.
That was the Tea Health Show, empowering you with knowledge. Download all previous episodes on your favorite podcast platform. The Tea Health Show is brought to you by Tea Clinic.
All right. Leigh-Ann is obviously ghosting.
I was just getting some sugar from the pantry.
Yes, they talked all about sugar on the Tea Health Show, and that's also a good episode to listen to because, man, are we addicted to that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very bad.
Okay,
so Vodacom has suffered another court defeat on the ongoing Please Call Me legal battle. I don't know why these guys don't just give up and give the guy what he did. I mean, really. So mobile communications giant Vodacom suffered another court defeat in their protracted legal battle with Please Call Me inventor Nkosana Makate when the High Court in Pretoria dismissed its variation appropriation on Friday. Vodacom hauled Makate to court in a separate legal battle to have a 2020 court ruling which directed the company to hand him copies of contracts amended. Makate had taken Vodacom back to court after he rejected their compensation offer of 47 million rand made in 2019. He's going for gold.
Like, you've talked about this guy, Gareth, and It baffles me why Vodacom keeps going to court. Just give this, like, I'm sure you've made $1 billion. Just give this guy $1 billion, and then this stops. Just give him shares. Give him whatever he wants at this point, because he's made you money, and you will carry on making money.
It's just wild that they'll waste. They've probably spent more than 47 million on lawyers to fight this guy, right?
And this guy,
and the only guy
probably doesn't need a team of lawyers.
Yeah, the only ones who are winning from this are the lawyers.
Yeah. Nah, it baffles me why they didn't just give this guy $1 billion and just get him, keep it moving, guys.
Pardon my ignorance, but do we still have please call me's?
Yes, I received one this weekend from my sister.
There we go.
Okay.
How do you do it again?
I don't know. I know it's star one something. Star 142. I don't know. But the number then hash.
I don't know. I don't know how to do it either. I've never used. I'm proud of myself for this because I do think it's kind of a cheap and pathetic thing to do. But you know, some people don't have data or money on their phone. So please call me was like was a brilliant idea at the time. I cannot believe we're still talking about this.
Wait. You guys never used please call me like proper, because you also could personalize them, like when I was growing up. So this is Bakh'abantu's youthful days of like finding girls and whatnot. This is like primary school, first time getting a phone. And then you personalize the please call, come out, please call, standing outside. You see, you used to personalize this stuff because you never used to have airtime back in the day. So you could personalize this stuff. Please call, I'm standing at the corner. But it was only 10 characters, so you'd had to fumble.
Oh, you had 10 characters to try and explain sometimes.
And it has to start with please call.
No. The please call is automated. Then your 10 characters, what comes after? Yeah. So you can either put a number, please call my number. That's why it was 10 characters, then like the number 083 or whatever. Yeah. Or you could put in words, please call TNAY. You used to be creative and people used to get it. It was an entire language in my generation.
All right. Well, here's this, and I talk about needing please call me's or needing more than 10 characters to explain someone. This woman looks like a character. So she's a hairdresser and she's talking about her favorite tool in the hairdressing salon. But I just love the facial expressions and the way she talks. And I don't even know what she's talking about here. And I found myself watching this like 5 or 6 times. So here it is.
Hi, my name is Debbie, owner of Bellafim Beauty Shop in Portsmouth. And I like the hot tools with the clamp because I think it grabs the hair better and the curl stays firmer.
That is.
Oh my goodness. She's like really into her job.
She's into it. She likes the hot tools, but she with a clamp because it holds the curls better or something. I don't know what it is. Like sometimes I watch something and I go, why am I watching this? And watch it over and over again.
I mean, look, hair is her games, but she's certainly playing it. She's got a lot of hair there.
She represents it.
Yeah, she's got a bouffant of her own going on there. Listen, Leigh-Ann's got a question that I know the answer to for me, but there may be many other people who have a similar answer. So apparently this is something that's now trending all over the internet, is how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
Like for Gareth, like every second thought is like the Roman Empire.
Yeah. So I mean, Gareth is a good barometer to use because he's the extreme. But the trend is ask your husband or boyfriend or some man in your life how often they think about the Roman Empire. And I thought that was a bizarre question. But as videos are coming out, you've got these like General Oaks who are like scratching their balls and they've just woken up and they're like, think about it every day or like once a week. And apparently the norm for men is to think about the Roman Empire about once a week. Gareth, I know you think about it more than that.
I think about the Roman Empire all the time. My favorite person in all of history is Augustus Caesar, and I've read more books. Read more books about him and that period of history than any other historical period. So I'm obsessed with it. And to me, this is This is not a weird question at all. I think it's perfectly normal. Like, look at this dude. Here's a guy. This woman just asks her husband, "How often do you think about the Roman Empire?" Listen to his answer. I'm not that weird.
Often do you think about the Roman Empire?
How often do I think about it?
Yeah.
I guess technically like every day.
Do you think about the Roman Empire ever?
Yeah, I guess sometimes.
How often?
I don't know. Once a week. How do you not think about the Roman Empire? Basically.
How many times, like a week, or just how many times in general, do you think about the Roman Empire?
What about the Roman Empire?
Just anything about it.
Probably not a lot. Why?
Not a lot. When was the last time you thought about it?
Maybe a week or two ago. The Roman Empire was a very big part in history.
So how often do you think about it?
Not a lot.
How often? Once every month?
Maybe 3 or 4 times a month.
You think about the Roman Empire once a week.
It has a lot of big stories and lessons within the Roman Empire.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you get
Yeah,
the basic
you-
idea. It's like these guys,
Exactly.
even when they say not that often, it turns out to be like once a week.
Yeah, it's almost as if they're shy to admit it. But Bakh'abantu, you might be a better barometer. How often do you think about it?
No. I think about it all the time. He's right. I was quoting. I was talking about the Roman Empire yesterday.
I can honestly say, if it's once a year, it's a lot for me.
I still baffle with why people are so obsessed with Julius Caesar and July over Augustus Caesar, because Augustus Caesar was the better Caesar. But this was the conversation I was having yesterday about the Roman Empire.
But do you at least are you just thinking about it, or are you applying it to parts of your life?
No, I say the ANC is fiddling as Jerome Burns. I quote every phone call. I quote something from history. I hear March. I think the Ides of March. I'm like, if someone betrays me, I don't think Judas. I think even you, Brutus. This is just stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's a guy thing. Maybe it's coded in the Y chromosome.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's there's nothing disparaging about this. I think it's amazing, and it's an amazing fact of life. But I think it is wired into your DNA somehow.
Yeah, I think so too.
So bizarre.
It's not bizarre to me at all. I would think
really
it was I've asked so many people the same thing that one guy in the video asked. It's like, how can you not think about the Roman Empire? I mean, producer Ryan says, I think about the Roman Empire at least once a week. Chelsea was winning back then. When you say that, I just think of Asterix and Obelix whenever you talk about the Roman Empire. Alia acta est all the time, Gareth, all the time, says Slippery Pickle. That means the die is cast in Latin.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it since school, says Parallel Parking. That's 40 years ago.
You're doing something wrong, Parallel Parking.
Yeah, you.
The only time I ever think about it is when you mention it, Gareth. But otherwise, no.
Really?
I literally tell people, oh, you've crossed the Rubicon when you said that line. And people are like, what is the Rubicon? I'm like, wait, what? And then it's an entire history lesson. They're like, oh, okay, you could have just said you crossed the line. And I'm like, well, I could have.
Sure.
No, I'm just
good to know.
I'm amazed. Because I mean, what do you women talk about that aren't talking about the Roman Empire?
You women, you can't say it like that, Gareth.
You women. What are you women talking about, Leigh-Ann, while we're talking about the Roman Empire?
Well, I don't know if you're talking about it, but you're thinking about it. And if you were to reverse the question, if I didn't know that men thought about this, I might not know what women think about either. But there will be, we don't have to work hard these days. The internet will solve it for us. It'll come out what women think about.
No, I don't think you're talking about anything sensible. That's why you don't have an answer to that question. Like I can tell you.
They talk about the hot tools and the hot tongues. Like keep the hair.
No, don't.
Yes,
You're being disparaging.
Right. I like the hot tools with the clamp.
The last time I thought about any hair product was a long time ago. Like really thought about it.
You don't think about, Germanicus and the fights along the Rhine River. You don't think of the Danube and the border with the Ostrogoths. You don't think about Pavia. No? Really? Huh.
No, I don't.
Wow.
Very
I
disappointing.
might not be the norm.
Very disappointing. It is very disappointing. It's like Sis Pumi not watching. Leigh-Ann, I am having a Gareth moment. Sis Pumi hasn't watched. I don't know if you watched Thursday's show. She hasn't watched The Nutty Professor. I am ashamed of you that you haven't thought about the Roman Empire every day.
Yes, I mean, it's outrageous. Where are my legions, Paris? Listen, there's a brilliant, brilliant series called Barbara, which is like about the barbarians. It's in German, but they have the Romans speaking proper Latin. So they have subtitles. So it's like you can actually hear Latin being spoken. I got so excited when I saw that.
Spoken language.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Okay, well, you tell us why so many ancient Roman statues are headless, because this is apparently some follow-on thing that you discovered. Now that you've finally discovered what men are truly interested in.
I went down the well.
Yeah, why are so many statues headless? Did they decapitate them on purpose?
In some cases, yes. But one of the explanations is that there's just been general damage to the statues, right? So, and it's usually the smallest part of the statue. So obviously weathering, erosion, just general neglect over the centuries is going to take off the head. But in fact, the Romans would, on occasion, deliberately remove the heads from the statues, so that at least that when they were discovered, they were left like that by the Romans themselves on purpose. So apparently, sometimes the heads were interchangeable. Did you know that?
Yeah. So often what would happen is if you had an emperor who was very egotistical and egomaniacal, and there were a lot of those, they would just go around replacing the heads of all the other statues of other emperors with their own, so that they could lay claim to them. And so it would make them look more important and give them a greater sort of, I suppose, purchase on history. So that happened. Elagabalus is one of the emperors who used to do that quite a lot. I know Nero was also supposedly going around taking the heads off of all his ancestors' statues and rather putting his head on so that he could get all the credit for building things, or for having his visage all over the forum. For example, people had to know what your emperor looked like, so they would go around putting up statues all over the whole empire.
Hello, statue. So, for example, there's a 2nd century marble statue of a seated woman, and it was specifically designed so that it could either depict the Empress Faustina the Elder or the goddess Juno, who's Hera in Greek mythology.
Right.
So yes, it's been challenging for historians apparently to match some of these bodies with their heads. An example of that occurred in 2016 recently, when the Getty Museum in Los Angeles successfully reunited the 2,000-year-old marble statue of a draped woman with a previously missing head. So it's still baffling them.
Can you imagine if you put up a statue to your wife and you think she's really good looking, and the sculptor is like this brilliant guy who you had to hire from Athens, he's got a track record of sculpting gods and goddesses, and you get him round to your house and he does this beautiful statue of your wife, and then a couple of years later, like, you want to get remarried, so you just cut the head off of the wife's statue and you just get a new head put on. I mean, I think that's brilliant.
Off with their head.
Talk about ending relationships properly. Dr. Hanan didn't think of that one, did he?
just cut off their heads.
It's all there in the symbolism. Just change the head. It's
right.
It's like when we used to get fired from the SABC. We knew because our access card just stopped working.
Right, exactly. So Parallel Parking says, I understand you thinking about it, Gareth, because of your history interest, but in general, you give them too much credit. You assume they think about anything except money, sport, and getting laid. Yeah, listen, those are still, I think about those things more than I do about ancient Rome. In my case, not so much sport. Like, you could replace sport with history for me. But money, history, and getting laid. Yeah, I think that's true for most men. I mean, most of us, that's what we're thinking about all the time. You could pretty much guarantee that's what we're thinking about.
I mean, I didn't want to get dark, but there was a comeback from a woman who said, we think about assault, sexual assault, or assault in general.
God.
But it's true. I think about that multiple times a day, just going about my daily business.
Really? Like when you
picking
tomatoes in the veggie garden, you're thinking about that?
No.
Yes, you're wondering what neighbor's watching you bend over.
Oh, come on. Like, really?
It's true.
Okay, can I go light with this?
More about being out in the public. But I mean, if I hear a noise, I think immediately someone's breaking in and they're going to harm me.
Yeah, can I go light with this? Lewis Hamilton once caught heat with South African Twitter, right? So he said in an interview, I'd like to thank Madiba and Mandela for my victory. I think about him every day. And South Africans are like, you think about him every day. You think about Mandela every single day of your life. Not even his sons think about him every single day. Every single day. He's on our money and we don't think about Madiba every single day.
No, honestly, I haven't thought about him very much lately. But
exactly. It's like, I think about him every day. Lewis Hamilton, right now, when he won third place, we know what he was thinking about.
No, please.
Madiba.
Every day. Are you mad? All right, so we know about this pig, and it keeps coming up in the news. That pig called Picasso, who is still working like a pig, doing all kinds of pictures. And apparently, George Clooney has one of Picasso's works.
Imagine this pig. Well, I've seen one of the paintings. It looks like a Chinese symbol. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. Maybe this pig is onto something. But George Clooney bought a painting, Leigh-Ann, from a pig. Would you imagine? What are we doing with our lives? There's this cool one. Like,
I think it's perfectly proper. In fact, that's what I think about at least once a week.
They say they just gave this pig a brush and then they gave it canvas and then it blew up. Like,
has it painted?
Don't question the painting pig.
Has the pig painted any pictures of? Has the pig painted any pictures? Listen to all the alliteration going on there of the Roman Empire.
When was the last time the pig painted the Roman Empire?
Right.
That's a better question.
All right. So before we go to Shea, who I'm interested to talk to about freelancing this morning, Leigh-Ann has something to tell us about a restaurant in Tokyo where they only employ people with dementia. Now, can you imagine how wrong they get your orders all the time? All these old people with dementia, you order like chicken and then they bring you like pasta. You're like, what? You really have to be very forgiving to go to the restaurant, right?
Well, they've actually worked out the percentage of the chance of you getting your order right, receiving the thing that you ordered. So obviously with Japan being an aging population, there is a restaurant called the Restaurant of Mistaken Orders, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So there's actually a feel-good story behind it, and that's that the restaurant owner will employ only people with dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And you go there and it's just, you've got to expect that you might not get your order right. And in fact, did you know that 2 out of 3 Japanese people affected by dementia live at home and they tend to isolate? So there's a whole feel-good thing about this, by getting them out, having them work at the restaurant.
Not my problem. I think this is a terrible idea, and I cannot understand why anyone would support this. This is the sort of...
I would totally go. It's a fun thing. It's like
the feel-good nonsense. This is such a disaster.
Why am I paying money?
Yeah.
So
please.
Only 30% of orders at the Restaurant of Mistaken Orders are actually incorrect. So that's not too bad.
It's 1 in 3.
When they are...
If the 3 of us went for a meal, one of us would definitely not get what we're looking for. And you're saying that's not so bad?
But you're not going to go there if you are in a rush or if you're craving a sandwich, a certain sandwich. You're not going to go there. You're going to go there when you're with your friends and you're in for a laugh.
So the only time you go, and you'll go once for that laugh, and then she brings you like the mushrooms you're allergic to, and your fucking throat closes. And you're like, thanks so much, Gran. Now you've killed our friend Bakh'abantu. He's prostrate on the floor.
Why is it me? Why can't Leigh-Ann die? Why can't you die?
One of us is going to order something that we really want, and then this demented old lady is going to bring the wrong thing. I don't understand. There's plenty of things we can do with demented old people. You could put them in chain gangs to fill potholes. There's stuff you could do that doesn't involve them making decisions or having to carry unreliable information from one person to another.
We can put them in chain. We can put them in the government. Hey, that's what we do.
Yeah, actually,
we can make them president.
We've got our government of mistaken orders right here.
Exactly. We don't need
All right.
this.
Listen, I do appreciate that there are people who are looking out for these old people, but it mustn't become society's problem. That's not right. You don't now bedevil us with people who are going to waste our time and money by bringing us the wrong order. And frankly,
it's not bedeviling. I would love to
please.
receive the wrong order and laugh about it.
You would?
Yes.
And you
I have
pay
no
for
problem
it?
with it. Of
And
course.
you pay for it?
Is it really going to kill me if I have soup instead of a sandwich?
If I wanted a sandwich, yes, it would.
You guys, go back to
You've
thinking about the Roman Empire.
You've got lots of money to waste. It's fine. And Leigh-Ann can go and support these demented old people at this restaurant. And we're not going to. I'm going to skip it. I'll go to a restaurant where I can actually get what I ordered. How about that?
I'll have what the Romans were having during the Roman Empire.
Alan says with Leigh-Ann, you go there for the fun of it.
Yes.
What if they forget about your table? Well, I mean, I've been to restaurants sometimes where the waiter or waitress is so busy because they're busy serving like 3 or 4 tables at a time, and they forget about you. And you're in a bit of a hurry because you need to pay your bill and get out of there. And they take like forever. So can you imagine these people? They don't forget which table they were even serving. They're going to give your food to the table at the entrance. No.
That's
Rachel says there's a Karen restaurant in the US where the waitresses swear at you the whole time that you're there. You go for the laughs. Yeah, that's different. That I could understand. That would be entertaining. I remember ordering lamb curry only to get a bunny chow via Uber Eats. Never again. Yeah. All right. Well, there's one other quick thing about Japan that we need to quickly refer to. Apparently, there's a city in Japan that is built inside an active volcano, and it could erupt on any day, but residents just don't care. And I'll show you a picture of it, and then Leigh-Ann can tell us a little bit about it. But this doesn't look so bad. It looks nice to me. I mean,
it looks beautiful.
I wouldn't.
I mean,
I wouldn't live there.
Wow.
Wouldn't you? Okay. What if I told you that the last time a major eruption occurred was in 1785?
Still, you know what,
Still
Leigh-Ann?
not.
No, if you live in an active volcano and then bad things happen, that's all on you.
You don't have to convince me. I'm not going anywhere near the fucking spot.
It
just
it does look very pretty. And
it's gorgeous.
You know, I've always liked the idea of being slightly isolated from everybody else, but the fact that it could erupt, it's your problem. Your fault when it does.
You know already that I worry about enough things as it is. To now be worried every single moment that this thing's going to erupt. There's no way I would stay there.
I mean, you're so paranoid. You'd be picking your tomatoes in the veggie garden, and there'd be like a slight rumbling in the background, and you'd be like, "Oh, they're bloody lava."
Every time my tummy rumbled, I'd like freak out. So there are 200 people who live there. This place is an island called Aogashima, and the residents they say they're decidedly nonplussed. But yeah, it's 200 miles south of Tokyo, It's these residents are known as very brave. I'd beg to differ. The island has been inhabited for hundreds of years, with a full-blown city buzzing in the main crater. And yes, last major eruption, 1785, which decimated the island's population.
There we go. See?
But people are just like, I'll still hang around. I'm quite happy to be here.
Well, Cunning Stunt says the longer ago the eruption was, the more due the next one is.
Exactly. That's exactly how I'm thinking. One of the residents, the locals' perspectives, says no one can win over nature. Thanks, Masanobu Yoshida. I'll leave that one to you.
Would you live there, Bakh'abantu?
I don't even want to go to Hawaii because the volcano erupted this one time. Like, there's the Maui fires. Why am I testing nature? Guys, I am a staunch believer that nature hates us and we should not be fucking with it. So why would I go to a volcano, guys?
So this guy says, I don't dwell on the what ifs. I focus on the perks of dwelling in this lush paradise. Fishing is big here. The island floats in the midst of the rich Philippine Sea. Hiking, camping, swimming, hot springs, geothermal energy. Yeah, you can keep your energy.
You know what we can do with those dimension people? We can throw them on the island. That's what we could do with them. And they can forget about the eruptions.
They'd be waiting. They'd be just completely okay with it, because you would tell them, hey, this island could explode at any minute. And 5 minutes later, they'd be like, oh, this island's so pretty.
Oh, no, guys.
All right.
What have I done?
Enough of tearing into old people and Japanese volcanoes. Let us get to something that really does affect so many people and can possibly be, I don't know, you could put it together a little bit better for yourself. So if you're one of those people who's feeling very limited by your job and you're waiting for the next bonus, the next promotion, the next public holiday, the next big thing, what if you could become your own boss? What if you had the ability to choose where you work and when? I mean, this sounds great, right, Leigh-Ann? This is like freelancing. This is what you do.
Exactly. There are definitely a lot of perks, but I think one of the, and obviously we'll learn more now, but one of the biggest fears, talking about being scared of something every day, is that at any point you could be unemployed, officially unemployed.
But that could also happen in a job where you only have one, so I mean, what, if you're afraid of the thing that you wouldn't be able to avoid anyway. Let's speak to Shea Karssing, who's on the line here. She's actually written a book, and it's called Freelance Like a Boss: How to Quit Your 9-to-5 and Take Control of Your Life. How are you doing, Shea?
Morning, everyone. Good, thank you.
Yeah, nice to see you. All right, so let's get straight into it, because I think that there are a lot of these things that would be very appealing to people. Be your own boss, have the freedom to choose when and where you work, work towards your own dreams instead of someone else's, spend time with your family more. You don't have to go to the HR office and ask them for permission just because you want to go to the dentist. These are the kinds of things that for a lot of people are like, yes, absolutely, sign me up for that.
Mm-hmm.
But freelancing also comes with its complications, right? So let's go through the pluses, the ones that I haven't already mentioned. And you can tell us how you would actually define freelancing, because these days so many people are doing more than one job, and many people don't even realize it, but they are freelancing.
Yes. So, I mean, to be honest, I don't know the hard and fast definition, but basically if you are not on a payroll, you're a freelancer. And if you have multiple clients, you're a freelancer. So some people can set up their freelancing business as a sole proprietor where, it's just under your name. Some people can set up a company, you're still a freelancer. And, like you said, there's so many benefits, which, is what attracts a lot of us to freelancing. But there's a lot more to it than having a skill. So, I mean, that's where it starts. So, in whatever job you do, you're going to develop a skill that perhaps there's a market for it. You can go out, sell that skill on your own. That's just step one, because the rest of it is about learning to actually manage a business. And so that's why I wrote the book, because, whereas a lot of us, we are perfectly competent in what we do, but there's a whole other side to freelancing where you are, You're the HR of your own company. You are the finance manager. You are the chief marketing officer. Every single role is filled by one person. And I mean, I'm sure even you as an entrepreneur, you've had similar challenges where, you can be the best host in the whole world, but Cliff Central wouldn't be here, 9 years later if you weren't able to run a successful business.
No, well, I still don't know how to invoice, for example. That's kind of an important part of being able to run your own business. Invoicing
that
people,
helps.
really, that's basic stuff. But there are things that people don't think about when they go, oh yeah, freelancing is definitely for me. This is what I want to do. For example, you don't get benefits. There are no such things as benefits. There's no company. You go on holiday and you don't have to worry about the company. It's someone else's problem. You have medical aid, insurance, your kids' school fees, whatever other benefits there might have been at the company that you used to work for. Those don't happen when you're a freelancer. You have to look after yourself.
Yes, exactly. So I actually dedicated a whole chapter in the book to what I call freelancer safety nets. So the things that you have to have in place, almost becoming your own HR department and having those, like you say, your medical aid, having emergency savings, having insurance, the kind of insurance that you need, so that you have all those things in place yourself. Because if you don't, like Leigh-Ann said, one day you could lose all your clients, and then where do you find yourself? You need to have those backups in place to ensure that you can keep going, because it's real. Feast and famine happens. You have some really great months. You have some months that perhaps aren't that great. You could lose a client tomorrow. So you have to have those things in place so that you can keep going regardless.
All right. So Leigh-Ann, what do you think when you think of freelancing? Because now, it's part of what you do without thinking about it. But when you do sit down and actually make notes about what it is you do, what are the main challenges for you, and what are the best parts of freelancing?
One of the biggest challenges, and I was just thinking about it now, and Shea said that, you could lose a client tomorrow. And also the fact that we don't have benefits like medical aid. When a client or anybody on the street hears the word freelancer, they think cheap labor. And they think that you're not actually committed to, it might not be a permanent relationship that I have to have with you. It could be a 3-month thing, or just give me a social media plan and then I'm out of here. But they don't realize that the reason why we need to charge more is because we don't have medical aid and things like that. We're paying for those things ourselves. The reason why we need to charge more is because we're probably educating ourselves and upskilling ourselves through either free courses, which is still time spent, or courses that we're paying for in order to keep up on the latest, whatever it is that we do, the latest skills. So for me, it's that whole, there's a little bit of disrespect, I feel, for freelancers in that you kind of think that you're going to have a semi-permanent relationship with them and you don't have to pay them that much. That's the biggest challenge for me.
You think that's right, Shea? Or is Leigh-Ann just bitching and moaning like she always does?
She's bitching and moaning, but because she's had the experience and knows that it's true. And I can bitch and moan about the same things too. So I think exactly when you first start that freelancer relationship, you need to really focus on providing value to the client, and make yourself indispensable. And once you get to that point, once you've done your job really well, they will pay whatever you ask, because they know how hard it is to find someone who's good at their job and can do it competently and offer good customer service. So once you've done it well, you're fine. Getting in the door, not so easy. And I think COVID's been an interesting one, because a lot of companies have realized, okay, do I really need a bum in this seat all day to do this job? Or can I pull on sort of fractional services here and there, like a freelancer? Realizing then at the end of the day, the company actually does save money, because instead of having, in a lot of cases, instead of paying someone full-time, paying their medical aid, paying for their holiday time, having their bum in a seat 8 hours a day, you can pay someone to do the same job in about 4 hours a day, pay a little bit more, but you still actually come out better at the end. So I think companies are coming around to that. And as a freelancer, like you say, Leigh-Ann, it's so vital. So I've actually put together on my website a little freelance rates calculator to help people determine their sort of minimum hourly rate based on all those things you said, the public holidays you want to take, how many days of work you want, how many days a week you want to work, including all those things, those expenses, your business expenses, because your freelance rate can't be the same as the hourly rate you're getting paid in a salaried position. I mean, even things like buying your own laptop and all those expenses. I mean, making your own tea and coffee instead of drinking the tea and coffee in the office. It all adds up.
Paying for your own insurance for your laptop, paying for repairs. Exactly. I mean, your whole life is based on your laptop.
Yes.
If that goes, everything goes.
Yes, mine is very insured.
Yeah, and it's not just the actual technology; it's the information too. You as a freelancer, you also have to build up like I suppose almost a CV of work done so far. And sometimes those are projects you've been doing for a long time with clients you've had for many years, or it could be just a once-off thing that you're very proud of that you think can get you more work. But again, as you said, you have to be your chief marketing officer too. Is this a solution to the unemployment problem in South Africa, in your opinion, Shea?
So, I mean, part of the reason I wrote the book, because I really believe in the potential of the freelance economy, especially in a country like South Africa. And I mean, Leigh-Ann, I know you work with international clients. I mean, it's such a huge door that's open to us as freelancers to be able to, we don't need to stay within the bounds of our own country. We can work for companies in the US, the UK. So, there's a lot of potential. And, as we know, you can no longer rely on state-owned enterprises to be handing out jobs. And I mean, the unemployment problem is huge. I would love to say it's a panacea, but it's not. And the reason is, accessibility is still an issue. For a lot of people, data, internet connection, the technology is still unaffordable. I mean, I would really love for there to be some ways or incentives, or maybe there are, that government grants to help people get set up on their own with laptops, with cheap data. I think that's holding us back quite a lot. But for those who do have access to that kind of technology, there's huge opportunities.
Yeah. Okay. And remember too, that if you're freelancing in South Africa, you're going to have an inverter or solar power. Especially if your clients are overseas, you can't tell them
you can't use the load shedding card on them.
No, exactly. And the other challenges, and I thought about it, you sparked something in my mind, was you are continuously having to sell yourself. Like, I have at least 4 different CVs, which have a different slant to them, whether it's as a digital marketer, social media manager, a copywriter, a journalist. You have to continuously sell yourself and update those CVs. And that can be a little bit mentally draining sometimes. Once you're in a company and you have a position, I understand that it'll come with its own challenges and difficulties and, assessments that you might have to have every year. But as a freelancer, you almost daily have to prove yourself. People don't just take it for granted that you know what you're doing.
Yes, and like Gareth said, building up that portfolio and being able to showcase it in a way that really showcases what you're doing. So and you have to update it all the time too, because the world moves fast and no one's really that interested in the project you did 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Updating your portfolio.
So I don't want to be doom and gloom, but like, how do you, I know you said you had a contract or like a rough contract on your website about, but how do you regulate freelancers not being abused or independent contractors? Is that a difference? Because that tends to happen with companies. Like Leigh-Ann says, if you work for an international company, they expect you at their beck and call. So how do you curb that?
So it all has to come from you. It's all about you as a freelancer have to have serious boundaries in place, because, otherwise, if I was a company, I'd take advantage of someone. If they were doing great work, I'd say, oh, well, I'd love you to be available more. And of course we will. So, it has to come from the freelancer to say, well, no, I'm not actually available between this time and this time. And you have to remember, you're not an employee. Your client can't tell you what to do. They can tell you what work they need done. They can give you a brief, but they can't tell you when and how. And of course, there's a deadline that you need to stick to. But you have to have those boundaries in place to say, well, actually, I'm not available during those times, or I can't help you now. And it's tough because you want the work. You don't want to lose clients.
And
So
that's just clients. What about family? I mean, like, once people know that you're a freelancer, you have other people taking advantage of you too. They go, oh, well, Shea can do it because she's a freelancer. She can go to the shops for me. I've got
it's always,
I've got a 9 to 5, so let her go and do this stuff and fetch the kids and all the other stuff.
It's always the fetching and carrying. I get given that a lot. Like, once you take mom to her doctor's appointment, you can drop this off there because you're a freelancer.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge, working from home. If you've got a partner who doesn't work from home, you end up being the home manager just because you are at home. But I'm at home working. I'm not at home to be the home manager, So there's definitely those kind of boundaries, like you say. And with friends and family, I always say discounts are for supermarkets. You have to draw those hard lines. And to be honest, friends and family are often your absolute worst clients because they don't respect your boundaries. And they expect you to drop everything for them. They pay you peanuts. It's not worth it. And I use also what I call the deep, dark heart rule. Unless you love that person from the deepest, darkest depths of your heart, do not help them for free or even with a small discount.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting you say that, because as a freelancer, you get used to being paid almost per hour for what you do, or per task. So when someone, like my mum, for instance, said to me, she wants to start a TikTok account. She wants to raise awareness about strokes. She wants to chart her performance. It all sounds exciting. And as you all know, we love new projects. But the thing is, if I'm not being paid for it, it kind of feels shitty to do.
Yeah. And it's that opportunity cost, because you say yes to that. That means you're saying no to actual paying work too. So we'll see how deep and darkly your heart goes for your mom, Leigh-Ann.
What about the other things that nobody really thinks about? And you cover these in your book too. The law part of it, the tax part of it. If you're in a big company, your tax and your legal advice and everything else is part of what the company provides. They usually have a department that handles just payroll or just law. And whenever you're in a dispute with a client or whatever, and you work in a big company, we'll hand this over to legal. And then it's really off your plate. But that's not the case if you're freelancing. You actually have to pay for and seek that legal advice yourself. You have to make sure that you're on top of the tax situation, which changes all the time. I mean, there are companies that just advise on tax, and on a daily basis, they have to update themselves. So these are things that, make it much more complicated than people think when they go, oh, you work for yourself. That's great. Must be so lovely for you.
Yes, it's a challenge and it's a learning curve. And often you end up learning the hard way, which isn't great. And was also another reason why I wrote the book. But, I believe if something is not within your skill set, it's best to outsource it. Even though it's tough, you don't want to, spend your hard-earned money on third-party providers all the time. But I mean, you wouldn't try to fix your own toilet if it was, leaking all over the show and too far gone. You're going to pay the plumber to do it. And I think at the end of the day, you might be spending a little bit of money now, but it could save you a lot of heartache and a lot of headaches in the long run. So I always say to people if it's not your primary skill set, and if it's not something that you can learn easily that's going to benefit your business, then pay someone to do it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's about right. And that comes out of your bottom line. Because even if you don't have staff to pay or a rent at some fancy office or any of that stuff, you still have to cover all those costs yourself and also be the company accountant at the same time. So, all right, let's just talk a little bit about optimizing time management, because this is something which you give a lot of advice about, and probably we can all benefit from this, even those people who work for a company.
Yes.
How do you get your time management right? So many people who say that they've figured it out, and then you figure out later on that they just want you to believe that. Bloody difficult, right?
So difficult. And, it's so easy to be busy. We can all be busy. If I didn't work, I would be so busy. It would be great. But, I have to work and I have to get my shit done. So I need to be as productive as I can in the time that I can. And especially in a freelance world where, as Leigh-Ann says, essentially your time is your money. So the more you can optimize that, the more money you can make. So I'm a big advocate for focused time. So, I mean, we've heard it time and time again that multitasking doesn't work. You know, you're actually just half-assing. So what I do is I set in my calendar my most important tasks for the day. The morning's a better time for me. So I'll block that time. Don't check my WhatsApps. Don't go on my email. Literally just use at least sort of 3 hours, a chunk where I can just get my most important stuff done. And it's such a sense of relief. And I mean, even if you're in a full-time role, to be able to do that, and then you can stuff around all afternoon if you've done your most important things. So that focus time is super powerful. And it's not easy to get into. And, you know, I'd be lying if I said I did that every day. It's a work in progress. But that helps a lot. And then calendar blocking helps me a lot too. So making sure that I've actually set aside enough time for the things I had to do. Because before I started doing that, I would just say yes. You know, if the client said, can you do this? Yes, I can do this. I can do this. And then I was finding myself so overwhelmed with all the stuff that I had to do because I'd actually overscheduled myself. And I don't know how I was planning on fitting, 7 days of work into 5 days of work. So doing that has also helped me realize, okay, well, actually I'm full now till September. I can't help you until October. So doing that has also been really helpful. And then, limiting distractions as much as possible. I mean, all of us, we are so, and I'm guilty of it. I mean, I listen to Gareth Cliff show while I'm working, and I try to do it while I'm doing, the less focused work. But distractions abound. So I think the more you can limit those, the better.
Yeah, hugely. And I think what's also funny is that we can play the client card until we can't. And what I mean by that is you can say to a client, I'm sorry, I'm going into a meeting with another client now, so I can't do this for you. But what you can't do is say to one of your clients, look at all the work I'm doing at the moment. This is why I can't help you. I've got doing this for this client, this for this client. It's not like if you work at a company, you can say, hold on, I've got all of this stuff you've put on my plate. You can't do that here. You've just got to pretend that it's fine.
Yes. So again, I mean, that's where your self-made boundaries come in. Where you say, no, I don't have time. They don't need to know about who and where you're spending your time. It's none of their business. I
think we've probably become a lot better about how people work and how they work differently and working from home and all the rest of it because of COVID. So a lot of people who work in the corporate world maybe understand a little bit more how freelancers can manage their time because they've had to learn that themselves in the last 4 or 5 years. But the reality is still, if I say to someone, oh, no, I'm working from home today, but for the next 3 days, I'll be in the office. They go, oh, so you take Mondays off. And I'm like, no. That's not what happens.
In fact, you often end up working harder because there's no hard stop and hard finish. It's your desk's there in your home. So,
well, I say middle finger to them because they don't understand.
Oh, 100%.
All right, tell us about your life and kind of how you came upon the idea to write this book, because it'll probably help a lot of people. But were you one of those people who needed the help?
Definitely. So I was one of those people that just sort of fake it as you make it. I was always side hustling while I had a full-time job. And then I ended up getting a really good side hustle job that paid me more than my full-time job. So I was like, well, guess that's it then. So I quit my full-time job, started freelancing full-time. And I've learned the hard way. Most of the lessons and most of the things I speak about in the book, it's all from my own experience of having to make the mistakes, do the learnings. And I mean, we'll never have arrived, it's always something that you're learning more about and working on your skills and trying to get better at what you do. But so that was about 6 years ago. And I mean, since then, I've pretty much quadrupled my income. I mean, maybe I was just earning a really shit salary, but it's opened very possible. It's opened such huge doors for me. And what I love is that I get to work on, because I used to find, in a full-time role, after about 2 years, I'd be like, okay, I'm bored, what's next? I'm done here. And now, I mean, I get to write on things from sewer systems to regenerative agriculture to learning and development, runs the gamut. So I really love that variety of what I do. And that's why I'll never look back.
That's the best part.
Yes.
Like just today, I have to write a piece on sustainable burials. What to do with a human body once we're gone.
Interesting.
It's like,
I would love to do the whole pod thing. Make me a tree or whatever.
Well,
yes.
Remember, Leigh-Ann is only being asked to do this because she's already buried so many bodies. I mean, basically, she's like
and I've got the experience.
Reduce your carbon footprint now.
Very specialist knowledge. So, all right. I mean, one of the interesting things is when you're freelancing, what can you claim as an expense and what can't you? Just to wrap this up, because people also think, well, if I can do this, then I can claim all my household expenses, all my petrol. I can just put all of this stuff through the company, and no one in SARS is not going to have a problem with that, and my clients aren't going to have a problem with paying more for that. That's not how it works.
So SARS has actually cracked down a lot on the work from home thing, I think, because a lot more full-timers are working from home and also claiming those expenses. So when it comes to, say, you can only claim things that are aiding you in completing your business. So even with your home space, you can literally only claim this. So this spot that I'm standing in now, like the 10% it is of my house, you can only claim that office space. Even though I'm using the bathroom, I'm using the kitchen, I can't claim those as part of my business office space. So that 10% applies to all your expenses. So you can charge 10% of your water bill, 10% of your electricity bill, et cetera, et cetera. So of your home expenses, it's only that, surprise, 10%.
Hello, thank you.
That's a bit ominous. No, I was listening to the show earlier, so I didn't see.
You can claim that headless Roman statue that you have.
Bakh'abantu and I were just thinking about the Roman Empire.
Just popped out.
Just for the fourth time this week. And then with your vehicle, again, only if you've used it to drive to a client or buy some supplies or whatever it is. So you have to track the mileage and make sure that you only claim that exact percentage. And sure, you can try joke it if you want to, but do you really want SARS to come knocking on your door one day and they are cracking down on, and I don't know why. I mean, we really surely don't earn enough for them to be interested in us. They should really look at some of the more high income earners around the country. But anyways, I get audited almost every year.
Greedy.
Yeah.
They are greedy.
So rather just stay on the right side of the law.
Agreed. But they'll come after anyone who's earning a little bit of money, because they don't understand how money is made. So they just want their piece of the pie that they didn't earn. Just my thought on that. Okay. All right. So Shea, here's the book. Let's let people see what it looks like. And where is it available? And how can we get it if we want to freelance like the boss?
So basically anywhere that you buy books, I think the cheapest is on Take a Lot, but also it's on Loot, it's at Exclusive Books, Bargain Books, Amazon, you can get an ebook version. Awesome. So yeah, pretty much wherever you buy books. And you'll like this, Gareth. Fun fact, the term freelancer actually came from medieval times, from mercenary soldiers, and they were called freelancers.
Ah.
Yeah, and it's not quite the Roman Empire, but
no, good stuff. And by the way, freelancer, technically, if you're a mercenary, you are still a freelancer today. If you're a soldier for hire, then you are a freelancer. You have to invoice.
You've got to use fresh books.
Certain deliverables, deadlines, excuse the pun.
Deadline and deadline being the operative term. Exactly. I love it. All right, listen, Shea, thank you very much. I wish you all the best with the book and also all this good advice that you give people. And we can go and find your website too. Where do we find that?
Yes, so my name is super hard to spell. So I'll maybe post it in the comments, but it's www.sheakarssing.com.
Well, here it is. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
And then people can go and take a look. So you can go and check the website out, and you're always updating stuff on there too, useful tips on kind of how you figure out your time, your schedule, your calendar, invoicing, as I said earlier, negotiating contracts, pricing, managing your finances, all of that stuff. So you can find it on
LinkedIn is a good one too. If you want to follow on LinkedIn, I put a lot of stuff up on there too.
Very nice.
Thank you for having me. That was fun.
That was great. It was lovely to see you on a Monday morning. Some useful advice to get our freelancing in order as we head into this week. Thanks, Leigh-Ann. Thanks, Bakh'abantu. Thank you, Shea. And thank you most
guys.
especially
Just
if you
you.
were listening this morning. We will see you